Good evening. I'm Kristie Mack, and I live in Stillwater. On the agenda tonight is the topic of school board meeting location, of which I'd like to address. Before I begin, I'd like to note that everything I'm about to speak about is public information. You can verify this information by watching the September 27th, 2018 board meeting, or you can make a public data request as has been done previously. At the September 27, 2018 board meeting, administration presented information recommending board meetings be moved to Oak Park Elementary. During this meeting, roughly around the 2-hour, 36-minute mark, Director Stivlin talked about the fact that the board was told that the cost to move Oak Park was about $49,000, which would take 10 years to recoup. Later in this discussion, the superintendent agreed with Director Stivlin that it would take 10 years to recoup. Director Stivlin also noted that it only costs $4,000 a year for meetings to be conducted at City Hall, and that cost is for use of the audio-visual equipment. There is no fee to rent the meeting space, as the city allows the use of the room for free. In the same meeting, it was reported that on page 12 of the executive summary, the cost to remodel the meeting space was actually $83,000. Lastly, via a data request by a private citizen, we have now learned that the actual cost to remodel was $240,000, which will take 60 years to recover. So let me reemphasize, it's not $49,000, not $83,000, but rather $240,000. A few important notes and questions based on what I just talked about. Number one, at the time of the September 27th meeting, administration knew the invoices totaled $240,000, but reported in the executive summary, as well as to the board and to the community, that the cost was roughly $83,000. Why? To date, on the district's website, the executive summary still has not been corrected to reflect the true cost. Number two, at a cost of $240,000, why didn't this come to the board for approval? At the time of the September 27th meeting, board policy was to present for approval expenditures over $100,000. The process used to remodel Oak Park violated board policy in state statute 123B.52. Number three, during the conversation to move to Oak Park, it was highlighted that the spending to remodel was done prior to an official vote by the board to move to Oak Park. Number four, where are the calls for transparency surrounding $240,000 worth of expenditures that never came before the board? Number five, there are needs in other buildings that would directly benefit students, such as updated technology, for example, whiteboards. So how did this meeting space become a higher priority? Number six, how can there be trust in our leadership, let alone sound decision-making occurring when misinformation is given or information is constantly changing? In college, if you turn in a paper that's been plagiarized or knowingly contains false information, you can be expelled. In the business world, the consequences are far worse if you report false information to your corporate board. Likewise, the executive summary containing misleading information is a serious issue that not only leads to further erosion of public trust, but is damaging to the decision makers who rely on it to make sound decisions. This situation is an example of why our community has struggled with trust. Many would argue the trust was gone a while ago. For too long, our community has had decisions thrust upon them rather than being part of the decision-making process. With this new board, I have hope for change. I have hope that once situations like these have been addressed and corrected, that we can move forward together. My ask tonight is the following: that the board meetings be moved back to City Hall and that all equipment, tables, chairs, etc. be returned to recoup some costs. I'm asking that the executive summary be corrected and that a detailed report for public viewing be created to show what was spent where, as well as assurances made that policy will not be broken again. Thank you.